Want to know a tragic fact? In the conservative golden age of Hollywood, some stars were forced to live closeted lives. This list will be an eye-opener. Here are 10 real gay and bisexual old Hollywood actors that you don't know.
You are all mixed up. Love has nothing to do with marriage.
Number 10. Ramon Navaro. Popular silent film actor Ramon Navaro was one of the early Latin heartthrobs of Hollywood. He was a Mexican-American actor who took Hollywood by storm, completely dominating the silent film era and that of the early Hollywood talkies. Born José Ramón Gil Samaniego in Durango, Mexico, Navaro moved to the United States during the Mexican Revolution and pursued a career in acting. His striking good looks and charismatic screen presence made him one of the leading Latin actors in Hollywood during the 1920s and 1930s. You would remember him from his role as the title character in Ben-Hur, A Tale of the Christ. This was one of the most successful silent films of the era and is today still considered a classic. Surely you have seen it. His portrayal of the heroic Judah Ben-Hur helped cement his status as a major Hollywood star. Even though his career continued into the sound era, his stardom declined in the 1930s. And this was only because Hollywood changed. By setting new standards and preferences, the leading man roles that suited Navaro's talents dwindled. Behind the scenes, however, Navaro lived with the constant pressure of hiding his sexuality. Like many actors of his time, Navaro kept his personal life private. He was gay, but due to the strict moral and societal codes of the time, he could not live openly, which led to inner struggles. Even when his career started to wane and he could no longer secure the leading man roles he had in the silent era, some believe that this decline may also have been linked to Hollywood's awareness of his sexual orientation. Like many stars of that time, Navaro had to navigate a Hollywood system that would have blacklisted him had his true sexual orientation been widely known. Studio contracts often had morality clauses that forced actors to project a heterosexual image in public. As a result, his private life remained carefully guarded. He was gay but lived in constant fear of the consequences of being outed. His Mexican Catholic upbringing also added another layer of complexity to his internal struggles with his sexuality. So even when Hollywood allowed him a certain degree of freedom within a close-knit private circle, the public perception of him still had to be tightly controlled. Tragically, Ramon Navaro's life ended in a violent murder in 1968 when two brothers, Paul and Tom Ferguson, were convicted of killing him during a robbery at his home. The crime shocked Hollywood and the world, casting a shadow over Navaro's legacy. Despite the tragic end to his life, Ramon Navaro is remembered as one of the early trailblazers for Latin actors in Hollywood and for his contributions to silent and early sound cinema.
I did too many movements. I think so too. But I just wanted to see.
Number 9. Freddy Mercury. Freddy Mercury was the legendary lead singer and pianist of the rock band Queen. The British singer and songwriter was born Farrokh Bulsara on September 5, 1946 in Zanzibar. However, he grew up in India before moving to the UK with his family. He formed Queen in 1970 with guitarist Brian May, drummer Roger Taylor, and bassist John Deacon. By doing so, he became known for his powerful vocals, charismatic stage presence, and flamboyant persona. Some of Queen's most famous hits include Bohemian Rhapsody, We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions, and Somebody to Love, just to mention a few. Mercury's vocal range impressively spanned 4 octaves, and his theatrical performances helped make Queen one of the most successful rock bands of all time. Despite his public persona, Mercury was a private individual and rarely spoke about his personal life or his sexuality. At some point, he was engaged to Mary Austin, whom he referred to as the love of his life. What people did not know was that Freddie Mercury was bisexual, and there were a couple reasons why his sexuality wasn't widely acknowledged during his lifetime. For one, it was the 1970s, a time when homosexuality was still largely stigmatized in many parts of the world. Naturally, artists like Mercury kept it private due to societal pressures, fear of backlash, or the potential impact on their careers. In his case, it also helped that his flamboyant stage persona was often seen as part of rock star showmanship. There was no way people could have linked any of the extra stuff to his sexuality. To the public, he was just another heterosexual man in a relationship with his long-term partner, Mary Austin. Mercury was famously private about his personal life. Even when in relationships with women, he didn't publicly discuss his sexuality. He once said in an interview, "I don't talk about my relationships." Freddie Mercury may never have spoken publicly about his sexuality, but his friends and family reportedly knew that he was gay. Sadly, he died to complications from AIDS in November 1991. Notably, this was a period when the virus was running rampant amongst the homosexual community. As such, his diagnosis of AIDS and his subsequent death surely brought further attention to his sexuality. It wasn't until after his death from AIDS-related complications in 1991 that Mercury's sexuality became more widely discussed and recognized. Even then, many focused more on his legacy as a musician than his private life.
Marry that guy.
George, I'm going to. Why not?
Well, I don't know. I thought I'd be for it at first, but you just don't seem to match up.
Number 8. Katharine Hepburn. Born in May 1907, Katharine Hepburn was an American actress known for her fiercely independent spirit, distinctive voice, and sharp intelligence. Her career spanned more than 6 decades, and in that time, she won 4 Academy Awards for Best Actress, the most of any performer in history. Impressive, right? Some of her most notable films are The Philadelphia Story, Bringing Up Baby, The African Queen, On Golden Pond, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and a couple more. In an era when actresses were often typecast into traditional roles, Hepburn rejected expectations placed on women in Hollywood. Known for her fierce independence and unconventional approach to fame, she famously avoided the Hollywood spotlight, rarely giving interviews or attending awards ceremonies. She also wore pants at a time when it was considered highly unconventional for women. You can see how she helped set trends for future generations. Now, Hepburn's partnership with actor Spencer Tracy is a notable one. Both on-screen and off, their relationship was one of the most legendary in Hollywood history. They made 9 iconic films together. If the speculations are to be believed, then Hepburn's 25-year relationship with frequent co-star Spencer Tracy was more of a friendship than an actual sexual attraction. Despite Tracy's marriage to another woman, the two had a long romantic relationship that endured until his death in 1967. There was a notable lack of traditional romantic relationships on Hepburn's part. Despite being linked to several men, including her famous companionship with Spencer Tracy, Hepburn was never publicly involved in a traditional romantic relationship that led to marriage. At some point, this fueled rumors that her seemingly long-term relationship with Tracy was more of a studio-arranged pairing than a genuine romantic involvement. Screenwriter and gay rights activist Larry Kramer publicly claimed that both Hepburn and Tracy were gay and that their pairing was orchestrated by the studio. Kramer's statement added credibility to the long-standing rumors within Hollywood circles. There was also the pimp, Scotty Bowers. He claimed in his memoir that Hepburn asked him to find young women for her. Bowers claims he arranged for Hepburn to meet 150 women over 50 years, which averages about 3 women per year. He says Hepburn would see them once or twice and then lose interest. However, he did mention there was one exception. This young beauty named Barbara was introduced to Hepburn, and the two went on to maintain a 49-year relationship. According to Bowers, all of this was more than enough evidence of her preference for women. Hepburn's private life was closely guarded, and she did not openly discuss her personal relationships. This secrecy and the lack of clear evidence of heterosexual relationships led to further speculation about her being gay or bisexual. Hepburn had several close relationships with women throughout her life. Some of these relationships were intense and long-lasting, leading people to speculate that they were more than just friendships.
Oh, it's all right. I don't mind being called names or pushed around or even kicked in the shin. But now I have a ladder and my last pair of nylons.
Number 7. Marlene Dietrich. Marlene Dietrich was an iconic German-American actress and singer renowned for her sultry voice, glamorous screen presence, and boundary-pushing style. Born Marie Magdalene Dietrich in Berlin, Germany, she gained international fame in the late 1920s and 1930s and became one of the most enduring icons of Hollywood's golden age. Her iconic career began with a breakthrough role in a 1930 film titled The Blue Angel. It was a German film directed by Josef von Sternberg. In it, she played the seductive cabaret singer Lola Lola. Her performance captivated audiences and led to a Hollywood contract with Paramount Pictures. From this point, the roles kept pouring in. That same year, she starred in the film Morocco. Her role attracted her first Academy Award nomination. Shanghai Express, Destry Rides Again, and Witness for the Prosecution. These are but a few roles that showcased her awesome range as an actress. In addition to her film career, Dietrich was known for her distinct androgynous style. She famously wore men's clothing both on and off screen, challenging gender norms of the time and becoming a style icon. Her allure and persona transcended gender boundaries, making her a symbol of sexual fluidity and modern sophistication. During World War II, Dietrich became an outspoken opponent of Nazi Germany. Despite offers from the Nazi regime to return to Germany as a star, she chose to become an American citizen and performed extensively for Allied troops. This earned her the Medal of Freedom for her contributions to the war effort. In her later years, Dietrich focused more on her singing career, performing around the world in cabaret shows that were hugely successful. She became known for her deep voice and famous renditions of songs like Lily Marlene and Where Have All the Flowers Gone? Like other names on this list, Dietrich was often rumored to be gay or bisexual. To begin with, Dietrich was known for her androgynous style, frequently wearing men's clothing both on and off screen. Even in the art-focused Weimar culture of early 20th century Germany, Dietrich dared to live boldly and without restraint. She frequently wore pants and tuxedos on screen at a time when it was considered unconventional. This forever altered women's perspectives on pants. Perhaps this is a reason many began to speculate about her sexual orientation. Her roles in films like Morocco, where she dressed in a tuxedo and kissed a woman, further fueled speculation about her sexuality. So how did she keep her bisexuality under wraps? You see, back then, there was this pretty neat concept known as the lavender closet. Many LGBTQ+ figures in Hollywood during Dietrich's time lived in what was referred to as the lavender closet. This simply meant their sexuality was an open secret in certain circles, but not discussed openly in the media. This was especially true for stars with high public visibility. So, while rumors circulated about Dietrich's sexuality, Hollywood's PR machinery and the gossip columns of the time largely avoided direct discussions about her orientation. Dietrich carefully cultivated her image as a glamorous, enigmatic star, so while she had relationships with women, such as French writer Mercedes d'Acosta and actress Claudette Colbert, these relationships were kept discreet. Her relationships with men, including her marriages and affairs, were more publicly known. Despite her rebellious and boundary-pushing persona, she was careful not to confirm or deny rumors about her relationships. It was only in her later years, through biographies and personal accounts from her close friends, that her bisexuality became more widely acknowledged. Even though people within her social circles may have known about her relationships with women, the general public was either unaware or chose to focus on her on-screen persona and heterosexual relationships.
And where friends make peace, have a shake on me. Ooh, a joke a day keeps the gloom away.
Number 6. Cesar Romero. Remember Cesar Romero? This American actor and entertainer was known for his versatile career in film, television, and theater. By typically playing charming Latin lovers, sophisticated villains, and comedic characters, he became famous for his suave and charismatic on-screen presence. Romero is perhaps best remembered for his role as the Joker in the 1960s TV series Batman. His portrayal of the iconic villain was campy, larger than life, and humorous. In fact, it may not be wrong to say that he established the Joker as one of the most memorable characters in television history. Other notable works include roles in films like The Thin Man, The Cisco Kid, and Ocean's 11 alongside Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack. Romero's career spanned over 6 decades, and he appeared in a wide variety of genres, from musicals to comedies, action films, and television shows. In the early stages of his career, he became known for his work in light romantic comedies and musicals, playing dashing gentlemen and charming rogues. Despite being a well-known heartthrob in his early career, Cesar Romero never married and kept his personal life private. Rumors about his sexuality circulated over the years, but he never publicly addressed these speculations. So, while he was an all-around prominent actor with a public persona as a charming ladies' man, what is not so well known about Romero is that he was actually gay. While he remained in the closet to the public for the entirety of his career, he was reportedly out to friends and colleagues in the industry. But there were still long-standing rumors and speculation about his sexuality. Romero cultivated an image as a suave and debonair leading man, often seen in the company of glamorous women. This was a common strategy in Hollywood to align actors with traditional heterosexual roles and expectations. His roles in film and television were diverse, ranging from musicals and comedies to dramas and action films, and he managed to maintain a steady career spanning several decades. Romero was reportedly part of a social circle that included many known or suspected gay actors. His close relationships with these individuals contributed to the speculation. Then we have Scotty Bowers. Being the notorious figure who claimed to have arranged sexual encounters for many Hollywood stars, he also included Romero in his accounts. According to Bowers, Romero had relationships with men, but these claims are difficult to verify independently. Like many actors of his era, Romero was extremely discreet about his personal life. This discretion was necessary to protect his career and avoid the severe repercussions that could result from being outed.
Dan?
Yes, I do. I understand. I understand very well.
You haven't been around here in weeks and...
Number 5. Montgomery Clift. Montgomery Clift was a highly respected actor known for his roles in A Place in the Sun, From Here to Eternity, and Judgment at Nuremberg. His performances were characterized by a vulnerability and intensity that set him apart from other actors of his era. In fact, he is often cited as one of Hollywood's earliest method actors. Montgomery Clift was born in October 1920. Before he became one of the most prominent actors of the 1940s and 1950s, he was a boy who had shown an interest in acting and theatrics. Initially living in Switzerland and France, he would only take the initiative to go out for a part in a local production at the age of 13. He took this chance when his family was forced to downsize and relocate to New York City. He began in the theater and was quickly celebrated for his vulnerability and depth. Top that off with his unconventional good looks, Clift had a smooth sail to Hollywood. His acting style was natural and introspective. By typically portraying sensitive, troubled characters, he set himself apart from the traditional masculine Hollywood stars of the time. He had notable roles in films like A Place in the Sun, From Here to Eternity, The Heiress, Red River, and Judgment at Nuremberg. Clift was known for his close relationships with stars like Elizabeth Taylor, with whom he shared a deep bond after starring together in multiple films, including A Place in the Sun and Suddenly Last Summer. Close relationships and affiliations with beloved actresses in the industry helped to keep his true orientation a secret. As glamorous as all this seems, his life was marked by personal struggles, including conflicts over his sexuality, which was a source of inner turmoil for him. He was one of the few Hollywood actors who did not fit into the traditional mold of masculinity at the time, and rumors of his bisexuality circulated, though it was never publicly acknowledged during his lifetime. Taking a closer look now, you would find that Clift's sexuality was an open secret among his friends and colleagues. Close friends and contemporaries, like actress Elizabeth Taylor, were aware of his sexuality and supported him. Clift had numerous relationships with men throughout his life, and these relationships had to be conducted with great discretion to protect his career. Clift was known for his reclusive nature and avoided the Hollywood social scene. He lived in New York and rarely discussed his personal life in interviews. It is believed that the struggle to hide this aspect of his life carefully may have caused considerable emotional strain on him. Then came the near-fatal car accident in 1956 that significantly altered his appearance. This must have exacerbated his personal struggles, as subsequent surgeries added to his physical and emotional pain that eventually caused a reliance on drugs and alcohol. One particular reason why Clift earned a posthumous gay icon status was the fact that he did not go the extra mile to prove a point. Unlike many other actors who entered into marriages to maintain a heterosexual image, Clift did not get married.
Yeah, the castle. What castle, Daddy?
The castle on the moors, Edgar. Go there, please.
There's no castle on the moors, darling.
Number 4. Laurence Olivier. No doubt one of the greatest actors of the 20th century, his roles in Shakespearean plays and classic films such as Wuthering Heights in 1939, Rebecca in 1940, and Hamlet in 1948 solidified his status as an acting legend. Known for his commanding presence on stage and screen, this British actor was celebrated for his versatility, particularly in classical theater. If you know anything about Olivier, then you know he was particularly renowned for his performances in Shakespearean plays. He was a master of Shakespeare's work, playing iconic roles such as Hamlet, Henry V, Othello, and Richard III. Olivier helped elevate the status of Shakespeare's play in the 20th century and played a key role in founding the National Theatre in London, where he served as its first director from 1963 to 1973. In time, Olivier transitioned to film with great success. He brought the depth of his classical training to his roles. In 1948, he directed and starred in Hamlet. His outstanding work earned him Academy Awards for both Best Picture and Best Actor. Similarly, his work in Henry V earned him an honorary Oscar. Overall, Olivier was nominated for 10 Academy Awards. He won 2 competitive Oscars and also won 5 Emmy Awards. In 1947, he was knighted and elevated to the peerage as Baron Olivier, later in 1970. Notably, he was the first actor to receive such an honor in Britain. Talk about influence. Olivier was married 3 times, most famously to actress Vivien Leigh, with whom he had a highly publicized but tumultuous relationship. They were considered one of the most glamorous couples of their time, but it did come to an end. His later marriage to actress Joan Plowright was more stable, and they remained together until his death. Wondering what he is doing on this list? Well, Laurence Olivier also had a complex personal life that included rumors and speculation about his sexuality. Despite his heterosexual relationships and marriages, there were persistent claims that Olivier had relationships with men. Sadly, Olivier's career spanned a period marked by strict societal norms regarding sexuality. Olivier's personal life was publicly characterized by his marriages to actresses Jill Esmond, Vivien Leigh, and Joan Plowright. However, there have been long-standing rumors about his relationships with men. These included claims of affairs with actors such as Danny Kaye and playwright Noel Coward. These relationships were never publicly acknowledged by Olivier, and the truth remains a matter of speculation. One thing was certain, though: Olivier's intense dedication to his craft and his numerous professional achievements helped divert attention from his personal affairs in his lifetime. If you made it this far, do hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any updates from us.
You have a busy day.
Morning, Hebburn. What are you doing up so early?
I couldn't sleep.
That means you're either happy or unhappy. Which is it?
Number 3. Greta Garbo. Greta Garbo's career spanned the silent film era and the advent of talkies. In that time, she became known for her beauty, talent, and commanding screen presence. Her roles often involved complex, independent women, which mirrored her off-screen persona. But despite being one of Hollywood's most enigmatic and iconic figures, Greta Garbo has long been the subject of speculation regarding her sexuality. Garbo was famously private, and her recurring phrase, "I want to be alone," added to the reputation for being reclusive. This mystique might have fueled public fascination, but it eventually led to speculation about her personal life. Garbo was rumored to have had relationships with several women, including actresses and other prominent figures. Among those frequently mentioned are renowned writer and socialite Mercedes D'Acosta and actress Louise Brooks. Letters between Garbo and D'Acosta surfaced after Garbo's death, and these letters reportedly pointed towards a deep, intimate relationship. Considering D'Acosta was openly lesbian, their correspondence indicates a close bond that many would interpret as romantic. Greta Garbo eventually retired from acting and public life entirely by the time she turned 35. Garbo never married and never had any children. This was probably not due to a lack of suitors, because at least two men, Swedish publisher Lars Saxon and American silent film star John Gilbert, are said to have proposed to Garbo at different points. Rumors speak of a letter written on MGM notepaper and addressed to Lars Saxon. At some point, the letter was obtained by the Postal Museum, and Garbo reportedly wrote, "I will probably remain a bachelor all my life. Wife is such an ugly word." So, at the end of the day, Garbo was a bisexual who was widely known in the Hollywood community. But that was as much as her personal preferences went. To the public, nothing was ever confirmed, and the rumors were nothing more than hearsay. On Garbo's part, rather than lie to the press, she chose to remain silent about her personal life. Whatever truths came out after she passed could not be controlled.
Well, what happened to you?
I ain't feeling so sharp. It's a temporary condition. You okay, Rocky? Been worried about you. It's a temporary condition.
Number 2, Sal Mino. American actor Sal Mino is best known for his role as Plato in the iconic 1955 film Rebel Without a Cause. His portrayal of the sensitive and troubled teenager in the film earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor at just 17 years old. At the time, this made him one of the youngest nominees in Oscar history. Born Salvatore Mino Jr. in the Bronx, New York, Mino grew up in a working-class Italian-American family. He began acting at a young age, starting his career in theater before moving to Hollywood. As you can imagine, Rebel Without a Cause was his breakout role. Mino continued to play a significant role throughout the 1950s and early 1960s. He starred in films like Giant, Exodus, The Longest Day, and The Gene Krupa Story. Now, after his early success, Mino struggled with the transition from teen idol to adult actor. By the mid-1960s, his career began to decline, as he found it difficult to break free from the sensitive, troubled youth typecast. Typecasting was the least of his problems, though. Notably, he faced challenges in Hollywood because of his ethnicity, youthful looks, and rumors surrounding his sexuality. Now, Mino's story has since gained renewed attention, with several biographies and documentaries exploring his life, career, and the complexities he faced as an actor ahead of his time. And one aspect of his life that garnered renewed attention is that of his sexuality. Although he did not publicly come out during his lifetime, Sal Mino was reportedly gay. First, let's take it back to his breakout role in Rebel Without a Cause. In this film, his character Plato is a lonely, emotionally unstable boy who idolizes James Dean's character, Jim Stark. Sal Mino and James Dean had a unique and complex relationship, and it might have been shaped by their time working together on the set of Rebel Without a Cause. While there is no definitive proof of a romantic or intimate relationship between the two, Mino often spoke about Dean with deep admiration and affection, and their relationship has been a subject of speculation for years. The film's portrayal of Plato's feelings towards Jim was subtle but significant. Mino later commented that Plato was in love with Jim Stark, reflecting the emotional depth of their on-screen bond. This depiction helped foster speculation about the nature of their off-screen relationship. Some biographers and historians have speculated about the possibility of a romantic or sexual relationship between Dean and Mino, particularly due to Mino's later acknowledgement of his own homosexuality and his clear admiration for Dean. Dean's own sexuality has long been a subject of debate, with some biographers suggesting he may have had relationships with both men and women. In his later years, Mino became more comfortable with his identity and was involved in relationships with men. His most notable long-term relationship was with actor Courtney Burr III, which lasted until Mino's death. Mino was more open about his sexuality within his inner circle, but he never made a public declaration. Number 1. Marilyn Monroe. There is no denying that Marilyn Monroe is one of the most iconic figures in Hollywood history. She remains one of the most enduring figures in Hollywood history for several reasons, many of which go beyond her physical beauty and charisma. For one, she had a unique screen presence. Monroe had an undeniable on-screen charisma and charm that set her apart from other actresses. Her combination of vulnerability, playfulness, and sensuality made her captivating to watch. In time, she became the quintessential 1950s bombshell. She represented a new kind of sensuality that was more open yet still playful. From her platinum blonde hair, iconic red lips, and curvaceous figure, she cultivated a very glamorous persona. While it may have positioned her to be typecast in roles that played up her looks, Monroe went out of her way to add depth and complexity to the dumb blonde archetype. Though Monroe was often cast in light comedic roles, she was deeply intelligent and ambitious. Behind the scenes, she worked hard to challenge the limited opportunities available to her. Monroe formed her own production company, Marilyn Monroe Productions, in 1955 to gain more creative control over her career. This was a bold and rare move for a woman in Hollywood at the time, but it signaled her desire to be taken seriously as an actress. And Monroe had a lasting cultural impact. She challenged societal norms about female sexuality and, in doing so, helped open up discussions about women's roles both on and off the screen. Even decades after her death, her unapologetic embrace of her sexuality is still celebrated as groundbreaking for the conservative climate of the 1950s. That said, she stands out not just as an actress, but as a quintessential sex symbol for heterosexual men everywhere. So, would you believe that she was ever the subject of numerous rumors and speculations about her sexual orientation? Where would these rumors even come from? Marilyn Monroe had very close relationships with women. But in a twist, some biographers and historians have interpreted these to be potentially romantic or sexual. Her relationships with actresses like Joan Crawford, Barbara Stanwyck, Marlene Dietrich, and Elizabeth Taylor have all been scrutinized for signs of intimacy beyond friendship. Various contemporaries and people close to Monroe have also suggested that she had sexual encounters with women. Take her second husband, Joe DiMaggio, who alleged that she had a special relationship with women like her acting coach, Natasha Littess. Numerous unverified anecdotes circulate about Monroe's sexual encounters with women. These stories are often based on secondhand accounts or gossip that have made it difficult to separate fact from fiction. But then, Monroe was also known to have made ambiguous statements about her sexuality. Though she never explicitly identified as bisexual or gay, in some interviews, she hinted at a fluid approach to relationships. Monroe had relationships with several men, including high-profile marriages to baseball player Joe DiMaggio and playwright Arthur Miller, as well as well-known affairs with public figures like President John F. Kennedy. These are the relationships the public was well aware of. There is one piece of evidence to support Monroe's lesbian encounters with several of these women, particularly Joan Crawford. Toward the end of her life, when Monroe was seeing psychiatrist Dr. Ralph Greenson, she revealed in recorded sessions that she had a sexual encounter with Crawford. In the recording, Monroe allegedly stated that Crawford had a gigantic orgasm during their time together. In fact, Crawford reportedly grew spiteful when Monroe turned down the offer of a second meeting. So, even in the absence of definitive public confirmation from Monroe herself, much of the persisting speculation is based on anecdotes, personal accounts, and biographies written after her death. Monroe's makeup artist, Alan Whitey Snyder, is one of the sources who hinted at her relationships with women. While these claims remain part of Monroe's larger-than-life mythology, she never publicly identified as bisexual. Much of the discussion about her sexuality has emerged posthumously, contributing to the ongoing fascination with her personal life and legacy as a cultural icon. So, what do you think? Do share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button. You also can't miss the next video on screen.